All right, first up, let's begin with international updates, what we are tracking after this meeting that happened in Florida between Benjamin Netanyahu and President Donald Trump. Now, Trump has warned that Hamas would be only given a brief window to disarm, saying that there would be otherwise hell to pay if the group fails to comply. He says that the issue featured prominently in talks with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the Gaza ceasefire. And in this press briefing that he had after his meeting with Netanyahu in Florida, Trump says that Hamas disarmament was essential to any lasting peace in the region, saying that Hamas has been given a very short period of time to disarm, warning that consequences would follow if the demand was ignored.
Well, we talked about Hamas and we talked about disarmament. And they're going to be given a very short period of time to disarm. And we'll see how that works out. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be in charge of that from our side. But if they don't disarm, as they agreed to do, they agreed to it, and then they'll be held to pay for them. And we don't want that. We're not looking for that. But they have to disarm within a fairly short period of time.
Was Israel withdrawing its forces?
Well, that's a separate subject. We'll talk about that.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, did you have a message for the Prime Minister about the West Bank? And are you at all concerned that settler violence, Israeli settler violence, could be undermining the peace plan?
Well, we have had a discussion, big discussion, for a long time on the West Bank. And I wouldn't say we agree on the West Bank 100%, but we'll come to a conclusion on the West Bank. Well, I have a great relationship with President Xi, and he hasn't told me anything about it. I certainly have seen it, but he hasn't told me anything about it, and I don't believe he's going to be doing it.
Does it worry you?
No, nothing worries me.
But
nothing.
You said where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So if you're in circle, if you're doing naval exercises and air exercises...
Well, I've been doing naval exercises for 20 years in that area.
Well, Rishabh, here is President Trump making the statement saying that disarmament of Hamas was a non-negotiable step towards stability in Gaza, especially when these issues has been dominating in the discussions that he had with Netanyahu.
Well, Amita, definitely. President Trump, who met the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu just last night, 11:30 p.m. last night, India time is when this meeting took place in Florida. One thing is clear, and Trump has made it very clear since the day one, that disarmament of Hamas is non-negotiable if it comes to the peace in Gaza. Netanyahu, since day one, since October 7th happened, October 13th when the Operation Iron Sword began, Netanyahu had this point very clear that Hamas will not be left with any military capabilities. And now that the peace process has begun in Gaza with the 20-point agenda that Donald Trump has brought in, the major point in that 20-point agenda happens to be disarmament of Hamas, and that is something that is non-negotiable. And be it US, be it Europe, be it Israel, all the parties agree to this, and there is not much, opposition to it, even from the Gulf countries or the Muslim Ummah, except Iran. We haven't really heard any, Islamic country in the Gulf, in the Middle East, who would oppose disarmament of Hamas. Remains to be seen how things unfold, but right now, Trump and Netanyahu are very firm that Hamas needs to go. And how much of it will be a reality on ground, that would be interesting to see in coming years.
All right.